Hi, my name is Mads. I run and own Unicorn Screen Printing here in Denmark. If you're one of the many Americans that doesn't know where Denmark is, Google it. It's not a part of the Netherlands. A lot of you guys has asked me about the transition from going from manual printing to the automated with the Rock. And this is some of the questions that you have asked, and I will try and answer them as good as I can. Tim Kelly asks, how much revenue were you doing before the switch? I won't give you the exact number, but I wasn't switching to automation to do more work. My wrists are starting to act up, and this was a way for me to continue to screen print. It was either this or hiring a guy to come in and help print. If I hired a guy, then sure, my wrists would get a break, but the bottleneck that is here in periods wouldn't disappear. With the auto, I print a lot faster than I was before, and my wrists aren't hurting anymore. So that's actually why I made the switch. I'm not doing more work, maybe a little more than I was before, but actually I'm taking more time off now than I was before. Before I worked like 70 to 80 hours a week. Now I'm down to 50 to 60 hours a week, and that's great because I became a father just like 1.5 months ago to a beautiful little daughter, so she's taken up a lot of my time. Ronnie Freeman asks, how has life changed since adding the auto? First of all, my wrists aren't hurting anymore. I get a lot more done every day. I can take a lot bigger orders than I could before. It gives me some extra free time to do something else. Right now it's all about my daughter. But it was weird. I had to get used to it. You see, I started screen printing as a hobby, and it's still my hobby. And from one day to the other, someone took away like 20 to 25 hours of my hobby every week, and that feels weird. So I needed to learn to have other hobbies again. I'm seeing a lot more of my friends and family now, so that's a good thing. Other than that, it's really about my wrists. I feel better. My body feels better. That's the biggest change. Liam Holland asked, what's the time frame between getting the first press and getting the auto? And Devin Harding is asking, how long have you been in business? My first press was a silver press from Ryonet, a four color, one station press. I still have it. I'm not gonna sell it. That's where it all began. I got that almost 6 years ago now. When I started, it was just a hobby. I registered as a company here in Denmark. This May, it was 5 years ago. So now it's like five years and a couple of months. I printed with the silver press for about 8 months or so, and then I upgraded to a 8-color 4-station Riley Hopkins press, one of the biggest one they had at the time. And then I bought an oven. I actually bought a complete print shop from Ryonet and got it shipped overseas here to Denmark. When I bought it, I thought that was the equipment that I was going to end up with. I didn't think it could get any better. I didn't think it could get any bigger. I was one of those guys that said I was never going to automate. Never. I like the skilled labor that's a part of the screen printing process. But things change. I still have the Riley Hopkins. It's actually sitting right over there. I'm still using it for small orders and samples and a lot of neck tags. This machine here, I don't think it's that good for neck tags. So I do them manually still. But I've been in business for a little over 5 years now. So far, things going great. Liam Holland asks again, what's the one piece of advice you would give someone who's in transition between small press and a medium one? Do your research. Don't buy cheap. Buy the right equipment at the right time. Don't cheap out on equipment. You know, that's where you make your bread and butter. If the budget is small, then I would start smaller, as great equipment as possible, but as small as possible. And when you are ready to move up again, if you ever become ready, it's not sure that you want to go that way, but if you want to go to the auto, do your research again. There's so many different machines out there, and they all have pros and cons to them. So you need to find the machine that's right for you and your shop and what you're doing, and think about more than just the machine. Think about service and guarantees and accessories and stuff too. Accessibility for if you have an issue, how fast can you get help from a service partner? In the US, you're lucky you have a lot of service partners. Ryanair is a big one. Workhorse has theirs too, M&R and stuff. Here in Denmark, there's really not that many. If this thing breaks down, they are sending a guy from Portugal, from the factory, the rock factory in Portugal. It's great service, but it will take a few more days before they can help. So take all of that into consideration and do your research. That's why. And don't overbuy. The more money you spend, the more money you are going to loan to finance this, the more money you have to make each month before making some money for yourself. So keep your expenses low as possible, and research. This is actually one of the questions I get a lot, both from you guys, from other print sites, from other companies that's visiting and stuff. It's how do I keep this place so clean? And I'm very proud of how clean it is. 3 things. Clean as you go. If you drop something, pick it up. If you spill ink, clean it up. Throw away tape. Simply empty the trash cans. Carry out cardboards. Clean as you go. That's number 1 thing. Second thing is don't use spray glue, spray adhesive. That shit gets everywhere. I used it on the manual press before I got this one, and it was everywhere. It was on my glasses, on my arms, on all my other equipment. And as many of you know, it's a pain to clean. When I got the auto, I switched to a water-based adhesive that you squeegee on, or I use a roller, like a paint roller to roll it on. And then it's only at the platens, easy to clean up, lasts a long time. So clean as you go, don't use spray adhesive. And then one more thing, hire a guy with a severe case of OCD to come clean up after you, just once a week. I have this guy who's, I think he's 16 or 17 years old. He comes in once a week to help around the shop, clean up a bit, vacuum, clean screens, and with his OCD, sure, cleaning a screen, reclaiming a screen takes him like 2 minutes more than what I could do, but when he's done with it, it's like new. No shit, it's like new, brand new screen. So that's money well spent, I think. So clean as you go. Don't use spray adhesive, and hire a guy with OCD to clean up after you. That's what I do. Did I outright buy the press, lease it, or finance it? And what's the price? That's a question from Dustin Hunthammer and Dalton Tyson. The price I can't give you. It's I negotiated my price with ROK. It's not a secret that this is the first ROK press in Denmark, the only one in Denmark. So it's a brand new market from them. They don't even have a sales agent here. So I can't give you the price. If you want a price, reach out to one of the sales agents and ask. Just ask. They want to help you, and they want to help you finance it. Mine is financed through my bank. It's actually leased, but here in Denmark we have this form of leasing where when the leasing period is over, I own it. So the leasing company, my bank, owns it while I lease it, but when the leasing period is over, it's 100% mine. So within the next 4 years, I'm an owner of that beast. Peter Bryant asked what equipment needed to be upgraded with the move to an auto. Does it use larger screens? Too. I upgraded my oven, my conveyor dryer, and then I had to buy a compressor, an air compressor, a large air compressor. This is a mix of electrical components and air components, so it will need air. I have a big air compressor just outside, hooked up, and that's a big investment. Other than that, screens, you can use like 20 times 24 inch screens, but it works better with the size just above that. I think it's like 31 times 34, something like that. So I bought 80 new screens, sold all my old ones, and then I bought a compressor. Then before that, and that's actually one of the other questions, is where is my dryer? The picture I took and uploaded, I put my 3 presses beside each other so I can see where I came from, where it all started, just for inspiration for myself. I'm fucking proud of where I am today. Excuse me. So that was just for my own self. I actually have 3 ovens right now. I have the M&R Fusion, that's right here next to me. That's the newest oven I have. It's 3 years old. I bought it used. I got it like a month ago, so it's pretty new. That's the best buy I have done since the auto, no doubt about it. It keeps up, it can cure water-based, it can cure discharge and stuff too, and it keeps up with what I can print on the auto by myself. I'm a one-man shop. Then I have the first version of the RyoCure. I think it's called Riley Cure now, from Ryonet. I got that with the Riley Hopkins press back in the day. It's really good for plastisol. Sucks at water-based. But it can actually do like between 250 to 280 shirts per hour plastisol. That's what I got out of it until I got the M&R. Right now I'm doing more like 300 to 350 shirts per hour alone, depending on the design and what garment I'm printing and so on. Then I have the worst piece of equipment that I have ever bought. It's an old Danish brand dryer called WJM. It was big in the 80s and 90s. The company doesn't exist anymore. It's a huge dryer. It's right back here behind the camera. I got it really cheap, like, what's that in US? I think it's about $200 or $300 in US dollars, but with no guarantee of it working. My father-in-law is a electrician, so he came in, looked it over, made it work, and it works fine today. But the output on it, it's almost 40 years old, and the output on it is lower than what I could get out of the Ryocure. With this big WJM oven, I can do a maximum of 200 shirts per hour plastisol. And with the Ryocure, it's 250 to 280. The biggest difference is that the WJM oven uses like 4 times more electrical power than the Ryocure does. So it was more expensive to run, and I couldn't print as many shirts on it. I bought it before I got this one because I thought I needed it when I got this one. That's the part of doing your research. I didn't. I ended up with an oven. It's actually so bad that I can't sell it now, so I'm gonna throw it out and get some scrap money for it, and that's what I do. So 3 ovens. Right now I'm using the M&R Fusion with 4 panels. How does setting up a job compare to when you were manual, slower, or the same? It's easier to set up jobs on an auto, but it's slower. And the reason why it's slower is because you're going to use a lot of time just walking around the press, getting screens, getting squeegees and flood bars, getting ink in the screen, taping screens off and stuff like that. So it's easier, but it's slower. When you're setting up a manual press, you're usually standing, where you're going to print, and that's where you're going to set up the screens. Just turn to the next screen. With this one, you have to walk through each screen, so it's going to take a longer time. But what you're losing in time setting up, you're getting in the print speed of it. So all in all, I get done during the day a lot faster than I used to. And then Peter Bryan, Jack Hunt, and Dustin Hammer, Hunt-Tamer, is asking about the dryers again. The new dryer here, the M&R, is coping very well with the new press. I can do, I would say, about 800 prints plastisol an hour on it. I can't do that on my own printing, so that's a good thing. Slow down the belt speed and put down the temperature a bit, save some money on electricity. It's a great printer. I can do like 250 shirts an hour with discharge and water-based on it. I'm mostly a plastisol printer, but I do have a few orders with water-based and discharge. This was the questions you had asked beforehand. If you have any more questions at all, just feel free to ask them down in comments, and if I can't answer them, maybe one of the other guys from the group can. Maybe even Cam can. So thanks for the interests in my company. Have a good one.